It's Javi Garrido. What tools can we use to change our energy, to change our limiting beliefs, to improve in sports and life? Welcome to this new episode of the podcast Conscious Athlete. Today we have a new invited, and I have a pleasure to introduce Ron. I really admire Ron because after meeting him, my life started to change so fast. So welcome, Ron. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I would like to start this podcast asking you, what is the thing that more excites you in your life today?
Well, it's actually two parts. So first, it's every time that I see myself improving. That's super exciting, right? So something that you couldn't do a week or a month ago, and now you learn or you managed to do it, or you're kind of all of a sudden you became like a little bit the different person that now just naturally does these things. So that's every time I discover that is like one of the coolest things. The other thing has to do with like taking sort of limitations that other people have that I can sort of perceive, I can notice them, and changing them, because in the moment that you change it, their life is gonna get bigger too.
Oh, I think that is a very big thing, and I know you have a very brave story in your life, and could you explain us what were you doing before you started doing all this work with changing people, and why you shift to put your energy on this now?
Okay. Yeah, so maybe I should say a few words, although it's hard to explain, but what it is that I do now. I give classes and I work with people to basically to take the limitations that they have away, and these limitations are basically the things that are in the way of them creating the life that they want to have. And we don't really know what these limitations are. We just know I would like to have this, but for some reason it's not flowing, it's not going. I have trouble with whatever, maybe with my family or with my job or with money or whatever it is that people have struggled with in their lives. And we are told all these things in this world about what it is and what is not, but what actually you can start to, if you practice, you can start to recognize what the energy is of the thing that actually is really locking people. You start to notice what that energy is and what the origin of it is, you can take it away. And it's really, your mind cannot comprehend this, but it starts to create a space for people to think, all this thing that I couldn't see, all these things that I couldn't see now all of a sudden now I start to recognize the other possibilities that are here for me, and I start to choose them, and they just come. And in my classes I do that, right? I create these changes with people, and although I tell a story that's kind of for the mind to understand, the actual change is just energetic, right? It's because it's these things that we have sitting in our world, and if you take them away, it's like, and all of a sudden, whoa, So that's kind of what I do, and I focus also on people that want to create a business or already have a business but struggle with growing it, or people that have a job and would like to create something for themselves, but they're like, I don't really know how to do it, and I'm not sure if I can do it, and I don't know what to do, and all these things are kind of limitations that people feel to step into that space. And so I love working with people like that specifically because they have this desire to create something different, something more, and so it's always really cool to enable somebody to do that, right? You asked me about my story.
Yes, how you came to this.
Yeah.
We want to know.
Yeah, we like to know. You like to know. Well, you already know a little bit of it. So I'm actually an engineer by training, I guess. I have an engineering degree, and I always worked most of my life in renewable energy. And in 2013, I founded my own company in renewable energy, and it was really exciting, and I'd done other things before, we started growing, and we were doing really well. We were at teams in 5 countries, and we were doing these cool innovative projects and winning all kinds of awards of this method that we had developed to convert energy inefficient houses to net zero energy houses. And so I was living this very exciting life in a way, because I was going from Amsterdam to London to Paris to Berlin and to everywhere else in the world where either the teams were or we were doing things, and and it was kind of my dream always to have like something with technology and a cool innovative company with sustainability and so on. But then somewhere in 2020 I realized that I wasn't enjoying what I was doing anymore, and it was really weird for me because I actually had always enjoyed, you know, my work, whatever I've been doing. You know, it never felt like work. It was just fun, and I was just creating. And I all of a sudden one day I had this moment where I imagined myself being like really old and at the end of my life. You know, I was like, okay, you know, my life is the course of my life is over, and I imagined being there, right? And I imagined in that moment looking back on my life. And in that moment I got such a sadness if I would have sort of regretted the choices I would have not taken. In that moment I thought, okay, because it was so strong, I thought, okay, what is it that you want to do? And it was really weird, but at that time I want to discover the secrets of the universe. And I had no idea what that meant.
You found them? The secrets of the universe already?
Well, I guess there are many secrets. So I restructured the company, and I sold it, and I stepped out. And then and then that took some time, of course, because it's not like quitting your job, but and I still had no idea what that meant. That was the thing, right? And so then I met somebody who told me about this method that I started practicing with to increase your consciousness. And this has nothing to do with religion or spirituality. This is just about like getting more awareness and clarity and power to recognize what possibilities are there, the ease that you have with choosing, and so on and so on. But I didn't know any of these things. But I started to notice that I got so much more clarity so quickly. And so I started practicing for me just initially. But then, after a while, that's like only a year and a half later maybe, I thought, okay, what can I create with this now? Because I have this combination of like experience as like an entrepreneur, and now I start to realize how powerful these tools are to change things in people, and so I started to put them together.
I remember the first time I experienced with Access Consciousness was thank you to you. You teach me about all these things. So I would like to ask you, how can you explain what happened to somebody that is just learning about this? What is that likeness? How can we explain it?
Maybe I should ask you, what did you experience? Yeah, because okay. I can tell a story, but like maybe you start. What did you experience?
Now you are the interviewer.
No, but I'm curious.
Well, I remember the first time I received Access Bars session that you did it to me for the first time, and I was laying down and you started touching some points in my head. So this was very weird. I thought it was like a kind of Reiki or something, and we stayed there for like an hour, and then you told me, okay, you are ready. But while I was there, I was feeling so relaxed, and the surprise came to me the next day when I went out to the street, and I was feeling like so light. I wasn't feeling in my mind all these thoughts, like this voice is telling you, you should do this, you should do that, you are late, you have to run. I have a clarity, like, I don't know how to explain it, but I was feeling so chill, so relaxed, and with that clarity in my mind.
Yeah, it's hard to, sometimes these things are it's difficult to explain when you don't experience it yourself, right? Mm-hmm. So because like this was I don't know, exactly a year and a half ago now, and like if you compare yourself now to the person who you were then, you can say no, you can tell a whole story about the change, but it's not easy to explain. I can tell the story for people's mind to understand, blah blah blah, and I'm happy to say a few things about it, but maybe the best way to explain it, at least that's what you can imagine. There is more, but what you'd never experienced is hard to imagine. But maybe the best way to explain it is maybe there are moments, and maybe they last for only a few minutes or for an hour or for a day, where people feel really clear, right? They're very calm, they're very present, there's nothing is really a problem, they see everything, as it is, and it's just, it flows, you know. But then we often go back to, you know, we worry and our mind goes racing, and everybody starts being annoying, and we're like, no, we're not good enough, and this is not working, and whatever, you know. And we start to stress. And so it's basically getting you increasingly often and beyond that state of, I'm right here, it's so easy, I can choose, I can create, I don't have all this stuff going on. And and bars are amazing. The access bars that you talked about, which is one of the techniques which everybody can just, you know, you don't have to do anything. You lie down and somebody knows how to do it, gives you a session, and not for everybody the effect will be like it was for you. No, it depends, right? Okay. For some people it's, you never know exactly what will change, what will happen. Like the experience you described was not my experience the first time.
How was your experience?
So, like, I met somebody who had I was in Mexico, and I met somebody who was teaching this. And so what I recognized in her was a clarity that I had never seen with anybody before. And so I trusted that what she told me about it. And so, but the first time I didn't really notice much, but like maybe after 3 or 4 times, the weirdest things started to happen in my life, because I was like, I noticed that like judgments that I would have, they were going away. Like I would meet somebody that I would have met like a month before, and that person was still the same, but I didn't really have a problem with any of the things they were doing anymore. Whereas before it was like, no, I don't like this person is this, and this person is this.
A lot of judgment.
Yeah. And so, and now I meet this person again, and I'm like, this is so weird, because I feel none of that coming up anymore. I still see what the person is doing, and that didn't really change. But I just had it's not a problem anymore. That was the first thing that I started to think, whoa, this is crazy. And I knew it was because I had like 3 or 4 sessions in 2 weeks time, and it was the weirdest thing. So that was for me what started to change. You know? So it's not the same for everybody, but what I do see is that everybody that has taken it at least a few times, things in their life start to move in another direction. Because what we basically do is, it's a technique where these things that these energies that are locked in, and we start to, because you have a different energy than the person whose head you're basically touching, you start to change that, right? It starts to dissolve those locked up contractions. And I know this sounds weird, especially when you're not into this. And I'm not some spiritual woo-woo, no, right? I'm an engineer. I'm a very...
Exactly. That's why I believe you.
Yeah.
Because you're an engineer.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, but it's phenomenal. So that's bars, and of course, you have experienced more. But this is a very easy way to start with it, and then typically when people start to see the effect, they get curious for more.
Yeah, exactly. That happened to me too. I remember that those days I was filming a video for my sponsor. So it was the first time that they were paying me to film a street video. So I really wanted to push myself, and it was a big thing for me. And normally I would be very nervous, scared to try big spots in the street and try to not to fall or not to injure myself. So for the first time while filming this video, it was like 3 weeks filming with the whole team. We had 2 cameras, and we went all around Barcelona looking for spots, trying to do hard things, you know. And it became so easy for me, like being there in the spot with my mind so clear, and I don't know, it felt so easy. So this is what I can share about my experience with this tool.
It's really cool. I remember the text message that you sent me. Ron, I feel incredible. Yeah. This is amazing. I'm like, wow, that really worked.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then I read about the book you told me, Being You Changing the World, Day Here. Yeah, this is a very good start also, right? To learn more about this.
Yeah, that's definitely a book which starts to. It was interesting because when I first read it, I wanted to throw the book away like 10 times, right?
Did you like it?
No, it's not. The thing is, it starts to challenge the things that you believe are true, right? And because when you have a need to be to be right about certain things, and somebody tells you something else, it can be annoying, right? Because it starts to challenge your points of views. And so I think the book is wonderful, but when I give a suggestion for people to read it, I say, please don't throw it away if you feel it,
okay.
because
be
I know,
patient.
right? Just keep going. It's okay. It's going to be okay. Because it's really weird how just by reading the book, some of the things in your mind start to shift, and it's a great way to start looking at some things that really makes you go, oh wow. And it might sound so weird, just by reading a book that your life starts to change, but we live our life through all these conclusions and these judgments and these ideas that we believe are real, but a lot of them are not. And it's like, what do you mean they're not? Like, I understand that these ideas exist in your mind, but that doesn't mean they're true. It just means that the people that you've surrounded yourself with, whether it's live or on social media or wherever you got the information from, think this. But that doesn't mean it's true, and it certainly doesn't mean it's true for you. And so the book starts to help you a little bit by asking the question, hey, what's actually true for you? And that's really weird, because like from the moment we go to school, we're never being asked that question. We just get told this is how it is. Yes. Now do a test, and if you don't score 8 out of 10, you're stupid. Like, wait, what?
Could you share with us some main obstacle that you have overcome using this?
I think judgments was a huge one, like softening my judgments about people, right? I was, and I think a lot of people have this to some extent, right? Your need to be right. Like, no, it's like this. And when somebody has a different opinion, you start to argue. You need to be right, you start to argue, you start to defend your point of view. But judgments exist in so many ways, and we are not aware of them, right? We judge ourselves, and we have trouble with receiving judgments from others. And so this whole system of how judgments works. The body too, right? The ease. I did sports when, since I was like a teenager, and for a few years I was very competitive, and so even until not too long ago, I was doing mountain bike races.
Okay.
And so
awesome.
Yeah, so I've always been kind of aware of like my body, the stuff that I want to do with my body, and I know you do skating, and it's a little bit comparable in a way that it's a combination of you need to have a certain level of fitness in order to do it, of course, but there is also the mental part, right? Because if you're in a technical downhill with your bike, if you're not present, you're going to hit every root and rock, at best, and at worst you're going to crash, right? So it's kind of the combination of those things that I've been very aware of. And the funny thing was that when I started doing this, like that stuff went smoother too. And I wasn't like 20 anymore and just some crazy guy that would just, do crazy drop-offs and other weird stuff. No, but I started to be consistently just smooth when I was on my bike and I would do technical trails. And so even those kind of things, and just the ease with the body, so I travel a lot, like jet lags, they don't exist for me anymore.
Wow.
Like the body just like, okay, you want to sleep? Okay, I'll sleep for 2 hours. But otherwise before it would be like, if I would be in the Americas, it would be a week before I would be feeling okay again. But like all this stuff, because it's all like, do you have space with everything, also physically, And if your body is just, smooth, and you listen to it, it's like, hey, what do you want to eat? And you really get a sensation of what your body likes. These things, all of these things start to go better too.
So what do you think is the relation between the consciousness, the body, and the energy and the movement that we use to practice sports?
Whew. So the way I look at it is, we have a body, and we have, let's say, our being, which is here, So it's like two things for me, and they work together, right? Mm-hmm. So we have the body and we have the being that kind of who runs the show, right? That's kind of the pilot, and that's everything, and that's your energy, and that's all that stuff, and then your body is just like the physical thing that you have here to do your life with, in a way, It's almost like a tool. For me, it's just, okay, if you are not distracted by all this crap that doesn't help anything. It's just crap. And if you can just be also present with your body, like the things you can start doing with it just increase. And it sounds really weird, but I've noticed that, for instance, when I exercise now, I actively, and it sounds really weird, but like this, I switch on some energies, and I get the effect of the effect of the training in terms of my fitness gets bigger, right? And I don't exactly know how this works. Somebody explained this to me, and I know that person knows, so I started doing this, and so by just being able to just use these energies, you can actually start to increase the capabilities of your bodies too. It's I know this is really weird, because none of these things, of course, exist when you go to a hospital and you ask a doctor, right? None of these things exist when you go to school and nobody tells you these things ever. Mm-hmm. Sports for me is just fun, it's just to have fun, right? So it feels nice, and it's for fun, it's for play, and it's like for all these things. And so, and maybe that's the best reason to live, right? To have fun, right? Everybody makes this life super heavy and significant, but if the purpose of life is just to have fun, sports is one of the great ways to play and to enjoy your body and to have fun. And so I guess the less distracted you get from all this stuff that doesn't matter, the more time you can spend on that, and the more fun you can have with it, because the more ease you will get with it, and the more your body starts to show you what you can do. And
I love the way you explain it.
Yeah?
Yes.
Oh, I thought that was a pretty weird answer, but okay, maybe it'll stay in the...
Yes, because normally we are not too connected with our consciousness. We just see that we need to improve, or we are trying to become something. Yeah. We think that we need to get a goal, but we are not enjoying the process, and then we have a lot of judgment about ourselves.
Yeah.
So, which you think are the tools we can use
for that one?
For that one, exactly.
Yeah. So, I called it once the gap and the gain, and so what we do is we are here, right, in a certain point of our life, and we have this aspiration to go here, right? It's like the horizon that we strive for, whatever that is, whether it's with sports or with whatever it is in your life, no? And we want to get there. And so, and we do work, we do work on ourselves, and we put the effort into creating that. And so a while later, we're no longer here, we're here, right? So we moved from here to here. Now what we do is we keep comparing us with what we do not have yet, right? And so we're never sufficient, right? We're always insufficient. And there are two things that happen, because you don't know this. You think you don't do this, but that point on the horizon, you keep moving, because when you change, suddenly what you want to create changes too. So you're chasing something you're never going to achieve, and it's okay. But if you start comparing yourself to that point, you'll never feel sufficient, right? So instead of doing that, right, compare yourself to the person you were 6 months ago, and acknowledge the progress you have made.
Okay.
And so, not just acknowledge, there's two reasons why this is important, right? Because the first thing is what I see people do is they make progress, they don't acknowledge it, and they go back and recreate the problem that they just solved. Because they didn't say, hey, man, I already achieved this, or I created this already. Wow, that's so cool that I can do that now. Wow, right? And then you can go like beyond. But I see these people they think they have to do it again, whereas they already...
Do you think that recreation of coming back can be an injury also?
You mean a physical injury?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I have to see the case of the person. That can be several things, but it could be. Yeah.
Sometimes we push so much that we don't listen our body. So we get to injury. That happens to a lot of us.
Question also is, what is your body trying to tell you? And I know sometimes we think these things are random, and we think these things are physical, but ask the question, what is my body trying to tell me here? what is that it wants to do? It doesn't mean that you have to do this, stop doing the sports, but if you're open enough to be willing to ask a question like that without trying to figure it out, just ask the question and maybe ask it for a few days, right? Every morning ask the question, hey buddy, what are you trying to tell me? And see if you get something. And when I say you get something, it's like these moments in the shower, you know, when you're just in the morning and all of a sudden you think, oh wait, I have this idea. Or like these kind of things, or when you're walking in the street and you think, oh, I need to do this today. Like these flashes of awarenesses that come to you instead of thinking about it. Like if you get into the routine of asking these kind of questions, you'll see that sometimes this information comes to you. And when you get practice it more often, it happens more often.
I think we should do like a point on this about the question, because we are used to think and ask questions to answer them, right?
Yeah.
So this is not the way this works.
Yes. Yeah.
How does this work about the question?
Big topic. Okay, I'll try to keep it simple and short. So what we have been taught to do is come to a conclusion about everything, right? So there is a question and we need to come to a conclusion. Oh, it has to be this, or it has to be this, or it has to be this, right? That's how we are, our parents, or school, everything. Mm-hmm. And what happens is basically we see something and we decide very quickly what it is, and now we are going to decide what the conclusion and the solution is for the situation. We start to define it, blah blah blah. This is all our mind at work, our brain, brain, engineer brain. Whereas the other thing that is possible is, instead of doing that, ask a question. And these can be very simple. Like if you, for instance, are in a situation where something is not working, or you don't know what to do, or something, if you go into the routine of saying, hey, what else is possible here? Or how can this get any better? Without charge, just an open question, and you'll sense it when you're like really asking an open question. What else is possible here? Or how can this get any better? And what happens is that by asking the question, you go out of this thing, this energy that you have with it. And so your energy opens up, and what you then shouldn't do is try to figure out the answer to the question. Just let it be. Just let the question be for a bit. Maybe ask it a few times during the day, or maybe a few days if it's really something that you get stuck with. And what you'll start to notice is that these shower moments where all of a sudden, poof, something comes, will start to occur. And these are not thoughts, these are kind of awarenesses that come. And they're very light, they're fleeting, and it's like, oh, and it has a lightness with it, because it's just an awareness, and it's something that you think, oh, this is a new possibility that I hadn't thought of before. Or when you say, how does it get better? A new thing starts to come into your life, you invite it basically into your life. And it's like, wow, it changed because you allowed it to change, right? Whereas if you go, I need to figure it out, you lock everything in place. And I know this is so weird because we think, but this can't work that way. I'm telling you, it works that way. But nobody explains this when we go to school. Nobody explains this when we end up in a hospital. Nobody explains this anywhere.
Can be much easier, right?
It can be much easier, yeah.
Wow, okay.
So asking a question it's one of the ways to change your life. We have concluded a lot of things about how this world works. And the only thing that I guess I'm saying is ask, what if there would be other possibilities too, with many, many things such as these? But that's not super important. Maybe look at your own life, right? Start there and say, hey, what if there would be other possibilities than the ones that I have concluded are the only ones? And so that's like a great question to sort of sit with for a second and allow for it. You don't have to figure out what the possibilities are. Mm-hmm. Ask, hey, what other possibilities are there, and go on with your day. But it all comes to, what do we believe, And people that start to say something that doesn't match what you believe, you start to judge it, you start to separate from it, because no, he's an idiot or she's an idiot, because it's not like that, it's like this. what if it's not like that? Doesn't necessarily mean that everybody who says something that is true, but what if you just start asking to yourself, hey, what's actually true for me? Rather than buying into what everybody else has been telling me all the time. And so it's just, you'll know in the end of the day what's true for you. But we're not very used to asking that question. So yeah, what if there would be another possibility for you? And it's just, are you curious enough to find out? Right? That's actually the question. And if so, then some of these things can change your life.
Wow, amazing. Thank you, Ron. I'm listening to you and it feels so light.
Ah, yeah?
What are you saying? It's like you create a space of lightness. What do you think is the path, or what do you recommend the steps to try these tools about consciousness? How it's a good way to start?
So, well, it depends what part of... like the bar session can be incredible, no? Like it's something that can help you with sports, with everything in your life, but like the clarity and the presence, and because I know especially with extreme sports, it's all about, are you right there? You know,
exactly.
that's and everything that isn't that is gonna make you crash, or doesn't make you do the trick, or doesn't make you whatever it is that you like to do. And so bars can help a lot with in general taking away like distractions and like emotions and thoughts and all these things. And then the other thing that, like the book is for people that want to read about it, they can look at that book, but asking the question, like, what else is possible? What would it take to change this? You know, how can this get better? Just some simple questions. Just ask them and start using them more often. Just do it. And I know it sounds sometimes strange. People are, this cannot be such a big change in life. And I'm like, you have no idea. You have no idea.
Totally true. And could you tell us where can we find you? What are you doing? Are you...
Well, I'm now in Barcelona with you because we're going to do a class. I'm going to do a class here. We'll put a link with a video that I've done on the topic of judgments, and people can, if they click on it, they can have a look there, and then they can also see where other stuff that I'm doing, or where I give classes. They can follow me if they like.
That's great. So, guys, if you want to know more about Ron, you can see the link and follow him. He is working a lot on different things. So let's see what else is possible on sports. And thank you, Ron, for being here today.
It was my pleasure. It was amazing. Thank you.
So see you the next chapter. If you like it, please follow this podcast and see you. Bye-bye.